Why would you want to support the economy of another country who's threatening and hostile towards you? Why would you buy an American car? Why would you go to the grocery store and buy American carrots? I went to the grocery store just the other day and the Canadian carrots were all sold out and all they had left was US carrots. So I bought some rutabaga instead. I don't even like rutabaga.
We get to see the maple trees, maple sugar on the maple leaves. We got the biggest wheat fields growing tall. In Canada, where we see the reversing falls. In Canada, we get to see them all.
G'day, eh? So, there's been a few stories going on in Canada that I've been trying to cover. And, I'm a little late on this, but apparently a lot of people are pissed off at our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, for seeming to cave to the mango moron last week over imposing a digital services tax on big tech companies. But I didn't want to react without having all the facts, and I know Carney isn't stupid, and he doesn't, he's careful about what he says and does, so I decided to give the banker dude the benefit of the doubt. Well, since then, Donnie's got hit with a shit ton of bad news, as well as being humiliated for the ridiculous tariff ransom notes he's sent out to leaders around the globe. They've been received like the childish stunt they are. Excuse me, so he had to lash out at the nearest target. We probably seemed weak after Carney appeared to give him that win over the so-called deal-breaking DST. So he turned around and broke his own word to keep the July 1st deadline on existing tariffs. But once you read the fine print, it's really not much to get up in arms about, at least not yet. So according to Politico, a White House official granted anonymity to discuss the negotiations said the administration plans to impose the tariff only on goods that don't comply with the 2020 USMCA or CUSM, whatever. Although the ultimate details will be up to Trump to decide. Trump doubled tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports entering the U.S. to 50% in June, but Ottawa has yet to match the move, despite pressure from the steel industry, labor unions, and Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Everything is pushed back to August 1st, said one official, who was granted anonymity to speak candidly. Trump and Carney didn't speak Thursday, the Prime Minister's office said, but high-ranking officials from both sides met that day before Trump posted the letter. Unlike other countries, Canadian officials did not appear rattled by the letter. The Prime Minister remained on vacation in the Ottawa region. Not too worried. And his bullshit about fentanyl flowing from Canada to the U.S. doesn't hold up to any measure of scrutiny. And we've been strengthening our border security just like we said we would. And we've committed to meeting the NATO spending target and our military contracts too. And this could even appear to be giving in to the TACO's demands, but it is a necessary move as American officials are ramping up their threatening rhetoric and putting our citizens at risk of detention while they're traveling legally. Besides, we've been taking care of business, building on our One Canadian Economy initiative, including historic deals on inter-provincial trade.
Would have a positive impact on the province's energy sector. Joining us now to talk more about the deal is Stephen Lecce, Ontario's Minister of Energy and Mines, joining us from Calgary. Thanks so much for being with us today on a day like this. I want to start with what this agreement means for Ontarians and how soon are you expecting work to get underway, including on that feasibility study?
You know, today was a landmark day in Canadian history when it comes to unifying around a common vision. That we want to be energy independent. We want to stop buying and depending on America. And I am very proud as a Canadian first, before even my association as a PC, just to be in the room, being a part of the negotiation, to sign a deal that actually puts in place a real credible plan to build the energy infrastructure that creates jobs, prosperity, and ultimately sets our kids up and the next generation up for success. And I think it is a massive achievement that Premier Ford, Premier Smith, and our governments have come together, part of this nation-building idea of ending the landlocking of our resources. Because today, much of our resources, particularly petroleum and natural gas, is being sold to one customer. And that is a competitive disadvantage. We're leaving $20+ billion on the table for the people of Canada. And Ontario has tons to gain. We are the leader in nuclear. We are the leader in small modular reactors. We are the leader in critical minerals. This energy infrastructure program, East and West, allows us to harness our potential as a country and really become the energy superpower vision we have. And so the pipeline that was announced today, part of this vision, the actual pipe is going to be built by the hands of Ontario workers.
Our export markets have gone up with new trading partners, even though exports to the U.S. have declined. The Canadian dollar is up too.
Exports were up 1.1%, even though our exports to the United States are the lowest they've been since the pandemic. And I won't read everything on this page because that would make it a boring video. I'm going to show you a couple of charts, but just two headlines here. Exports to the United States decrease a fourth consecutive month. Meanwhile, exports to countries other than the United States reached a record high. Right around the time when Donald Trump took office, this point right here, January 2025, from that point on, you'll see that exports to the United States have gone straight down. And that's because the US imposed tariffs on Canada, so there's going to be less demand for those products. That's what we were worried about, and that's where all the doom and gloom and Canada's broken and what are we going to do and all the rhetoric started that we should just panic and there's no way we could fight the United States because there's such a big economy and we have to cave to them immediately and that poor little Canada won't be able to do anything about it. Oh, what are we going to do? Well, Canadians responded here in the light blue line. Imports from the United States also have gone straight down, and that's mainly because people like you and me have just decided to choose Canada and not buy US products. Why would you want to support the economy of another country who's threatening and hostile towards you? Why would you buy an American car? Why would you go to the grocery store and buy American carrots? I went to the grocery store just the other day, and the Canadian carrots were all sold out, and all they had left was US carrots. So I bought some rutabaga instead. I don't even like rutabaga, but I'll eat it because I'm not buying the American ones. Why would you go on vacation to a country that's threatening and hostile towards your country? Why would you spend your hard-earned dollars there? Why wouldn't you spend them here? That's what this drop in this light blue line is. And this line should drop faster and farther. This is a graph of merchandise trade with countries other than the United States. You can see in the dark line here that exports to other countries are heading straight up, and imports from other countries are heading straight up as Canada forms new trade alliances, new supply routes, and concentrates on doing business with our friends around.
The 35% increase targets items not already covered in the USMCA-CUSMA agreement and takes aim at copper specifically. Canada is one of the biggest exporters of copper to the US. This is also a frantic and a desperate attempt to punish the BRICS alliance, which is quickly growing and taking shape as a viable alternative to the US dollar, leaning on gold, and as countries are looking for more stable partnerships instead of a bully who threatens and insults them.
But here's where it gets interesting. The timing of Trump's threat to slap a 50% tariff on Brazilian goods is markedly different from all those other boilerplate letters that he's been sending to nations that haven't negotiated trade deals with his administration. 90 deals, 90 days. Anyway, this isn't just another trade tantrum. This is strategic economic warfare disguised as trade policy. And here's the kicker that exposes Trump's fundamental ignorance of basic economics. We already have a trade surplus with Brazil. So let me repeat that for those in the back. The United States exports more to Brazil than we bring in from them. I mean, putting tariffs on a country that you already have a trade surplus with makes about as much economic sense as trying to put out a fire with gasoline. So what's this really about? This is a calculated scheme to punish Brazil for serving as the current head of the BRICS alliance that recently convened to discuss moving forward with a comprehensive and cooperative economic agreement. And yes, they are seriously discussing the eventual rollout of a BRICS plus currency that could be potentially pegged to gold.
Canadian economists seem to be telling us that we're actually in a pretty good position despite the continued irritant. According to Now News, headline reads, "We cannot be bullied. Canadians react after Trump threatens Canada with 35% tariffs." The Canadian response has been that Carney revealed that the Canadian government will continue to defend our workers and businesses by the August 1st deadline, which is still not official. There's the disappointment over the tariffs announcement. People online, including Canadians, took to social media to express their frustration. Many are upset over Trump's new move, calling for strong retaliation against the southern neighbor. Why do we even bother negotiating? Bring back the DST and double it. Export tax on potash and oil. Stop playing games with someone who doesn't fucking know what he's doing. One Reddit user said. 35% export taxes on all Canadian goods to the US then. Special 350% export tax on oil and potash. Their prices go up 70%, all paid for by the US taxpayers, while Canada gets to join in the plundering. Sounds good to me, another user suggested. Negotiate better deals with Europe, Asia, South America, etc. Yes, there's going to be pain. We need to accept that and get through it. We can come out stronger. We cannot allow ourselves to constantly be bullied, added another. Meanwhile, other social media users seem to be fed up with tariff talks, suggesting that Canada should give up negotiations altogether. Lol, does anyone even care anymore? No agreement can be trusted anyway. America is no longer a reliable partner. Close the borders! Treat this as a hostile nation! Tired of this lunatic! Whatever at this point. We gotta weather it. Just levy retaliatory tariffs and ignore. Don't give this guy any attention. Don't negotiate. And don't acknowledge his existence. He is a classic attention-seeking narcissist. Hard to argue with any of that. We'll see what the outcome of all of this will be, but I think there's been a rush to judgment of Carney as an effective opponent to the toucan spray tan madman. We still have the option to impose the DST, and we could strengthen its result by including our European allies. We elected a financier, and he actually understands economics and has a team of ministers and premiers standing by him ready to fight. And the PM's office announced that there will be a cabinet meeting on Tuesday to discuss ongoing Canada-US trade negotiations. Carney's office said that he will also meet with the premiers on July 22nd as they gather for the Annual Council of the Federation Conference in Huntsville, Ontario. And I hate to agree with anything Doug Ford says, but he's got it right when he says, Carney's no Trudeau. Stay tuned for more on Political Drain Canadian Edition.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads, it's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.